Welcome, everybody. Today, again, we have Dr. Renny McLean with us, who we are so excited every week to have with us. We are going to jump into dominion over time. So one of the things we're just going to jump today, Dr. Renny, if we can.
Yes.
We want to talk about, last week we were talking about now faith is a substance, but what is the now of God? How does that unfold? What does that look like? Because I know we live in time, and the chapter talks about the dominion over time. The now of God, what does that unlock that for us?
Okay. First of all, that's so much to unlock.
Yeah.
First of all, we coexist in time and eternity. Eternity was where we came from. Time is where we were sent. And so our reference is always where we were from, not where we are. And that's why Jesus would always refer to where he came from and who he was. Who you are has a lot to do with where you came from. And so when people ask me that question, it's just so loaded. So let me just unpack it. God's now, not now, but God's now is eternity. Mm-hmm. He who was, he who is, and he is forever, and he forever will be. So just that alone removes procrastination and delays from the mind of a person who's coming into spiritual reality, because it means there's no restriction of there's no restriction of time that you can put God in, because he supersedes any time zone you can name. So if you can believe God for the future, then in reality you can believe God for now, because the same God of the future is the same God who can do it now. God doesn't get prepared. He is I am.
So good.
That's the now of God in a nutshell. So that's why he introduced himself to Moses by saying, I am. Mm-hmm. Now, you know what's weird about this, Dr. Barry? This is something a lot of people don't know. And I must forgive me if I'm a little rusty, because I don't use my Hebrew like I used to. But let me tell you something that's going to surprise you. Did you know, if I remember rightly, did you know that in Hebrew, in the tenses of time, did you know there is no now in Hebrew?
Wow.
That shocks people. See, if you look in the Old Testament is strong on genealogy, which means they're strong on the past.
Yeah, history.
And if you notice, they're always prophesying to the future. But what you never hear is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, so when God came and spoke to Moses, he filled in the blanks.
That's really good.
Now, it's so powerful. So let me go on now. So when we say now, the now, so that's the now of God. Now, there are three nows that we need to understand. The first now I just defined to you is the now of God. And that's why I love the scripture. It says, he who inhabits eternity. Eternity is absent of nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, he is just a forever kind of guy. He's God.
Yeah, right.
But then there's the now of faith, which is our entrance in the earth, or from earth back into the now of God. So without faith, you can't step into the now of God. So that's why faith is the mediator between time and eternity.
Ooh, that's a statement right there. Go ahead, keep going.
Then, I'm sorry, I'm going too quick. I'm sorry. And then the other now, the now of man, is his circumstance. Now, that's the now that most people live in, is the now of their circumstance. And which means they live in the realm of reason. And in that realm, we accept impossibilities as reality.
So good. So good. So good. Okay. So you've already I got about 30 sermons out of what you've already said. Clicking in me. Because here's what I just caught from you. the now of God. See, so let's just touch that a little bit further. It's safe to say then the now of God is coming out of the glory realm.
Yes, yes,
And in the original, well, I'm gonna back it up into a little bit things, because the faith is the currency, if I can say it there, where the
yes,
transaction that allows us to
yes,
get into the realm of the
yes,
eternal realm. Okay.
yes,
So here's what's fascinating to me. One of my favorite things in the New Testament is in John 11 account, when Jesus approaches Martha on the way to resurrect Lazarus. And
yes,
Martha's all caught up in a timeline of when Jesus is going to come back again after, and that
yes,
resurrection, Lazarus will rise up then. And
yes,
she's missing the now of God.
exactly.
Even though the now is present, oh my
Mm,
gosh, this is so good. Even though
yes.
the now is present, it is ready to do its duty on the behalf of giving life to something that is dead. The
Hmm.
time element in her mind superseded the reality of what God wanted to do in that moment. And so she begins to dialogue with the now of God and tries to put him off in time somewhere down the street.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
How many times have we done that? Because you just said something very powerful. What he is in the future, he
Hmm.
is right now. So what are you waiting for?
Yes,
in,
yes,
in essence,
yes,
that's what you're saying. Why would you put
yes.
because I think one of the things that happens here is, in that understanding, what you just brought out in there is the now circumstances and the reality of the circumstance and the impossibilities of something unfolding in the man's element is totally contrary to obviously God's moment of the now, which he can do anything he wants.
Yes.
And I find out that what is I think you mentioned it this way in the now of God. What is revelatory to the heaven is prophetic to the earth.
Right, right,
What is revelatory to the heavens is prophetic to the earth is something you wrote
right.
in this chapter. And I'm just going,
Hmm.
that's very powerful, because see, in prophetic, we're again, ooh, so how does the now, because people are going to go, okay, Dr. Rennie, I mean, you got me going now. I'm sorry. That's what happened. So
Yeah.
the so what happens is, I look at it this way: we're collapsing everything that we've learned from God, and we're going to move it into the now of God. For
Yeah.
years through the Testament, Old Testament, and even in the New, they prophesy. And I get it. The testimony of Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophecy. I get that. But that's something that's in a time element, and we keep,
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
things,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
then versus what's the now. So let me ask you this question, because in the
Yes.
now of God, when is it proper, I guess would be the question I like to ask. When is the proper time to prophetically declare something, and when is it the proper time to show the now of God? Is there a difference between the two?
Yes. I think you must be. I think only the second person that I even conceived even how to ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, that's very profound.
Mm-hmm.
When we say prophesy, prophecy simply means to speak forth.
Mm-hmm.
So creation was prophesied because God spoke it. Okay. In the earth, prophets speak in time, but with a sense of time.
So there it is, right there. Go ahead,
See,
keep
that's
going.
the issue right there that people don't see. And that's why in the Old Testament, not all, the mystery of the prophets is that what they spoke, hear the words I'm saying, what the prophets spoke came to pass in the maturity of time,
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't know how to pull it to now.
Mm, 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 mm.
So that's why in the Old Testament, Moses, you could arguably say Moses was a miracle worker. No question.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua was.
Yep.
Okay. Elijah and Elisha. They were all nuts. They had an idea of how to work it. The opening of the Red Sea was not a gonna be or a might be or a no, no, no. The miracle of the Red Sea was a right here and now.
Mm, yeah.
That's where God gave me the concept. Eternity suspends time. I just, oh boy, shekabosai. And do you know that when the waters closed, God removed the time suspension from the waters.
Wow. That's a great way to put that.
That's
Wow.
and so when God removes the suspension from time, things go back to what they were.
Exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh,
And so
totally.
that's why people do not understand the power of this. Is that when a prophet speaks, he speaks with a consciousness of time.
Mhm.
When God speaks for something to be now, there is no time in it because he is God.
Yeah. And
See,
it
let me give you a classic example. Time is made up of, there's four categories of time: the past, the present, the future, and then the future perfect.
mm,
That meant there's four tenses of time.
yep.
Now, what's interesting is this: faith, faith is nothing more than the maturity of time in one moment, and it's called now.
So good. That is so good. Woo, that's good.
So that's why when faith comes and faith speaks, it speaks from what has been. It speaks from what has happened, not for
Mhm.
it to be happening. It speaks because it already has happened. Oh, okay, there it goes.
Okay. So see what you're saying. If I can just tie this in, because this makes
Yeah,
me think. It says now by faith Enoch. Okay, stop right there. See
yes,
what he did is he went beyond the time element into the now of God, and then he was no more because
right.
he understood the now of God more than what I'm hearing in that is greater than what the restriction of time was doing him here.
100%. 100%.
And so, there's some stuff here because the more you traffic in the reality, because I always say, here's the beginning,
Mhm,
here's the end. This is where God's gonna come back and all that. Okay,
mhm.
Enoch is only the seventh one from Adam, which
Exactly.
he's only number
Exactly.
seven, and he's already. If you want to go into
Isn't that interesting, Dr. Barry?
yes,
And
it
I
is.
and it's so powerful you say that because that's what the word the Lord gave me this year is the mystery of the seven.
It's
See?
crazy, but see what's happening is it's giving you an invitation to what Enoch discovered. That's one
Yes.
of the sevens. Come
Right.
into seven, which is
Mhm.
my rest, and
Yes.
you're going to find the now of me, because
Yes.
time always allows you're delayed in the expectation of the invitation and the maturity of it. But when you're in
Mhm.
the now of God, you get full maturity now. There is no seed
Amen.
time harvest. It's instantaneous, and that's the realm of the glory that I believe
Yeah.
that's is what
Amen.
God is positioning us for in these days ahead. It's
Amen.
it's like, Enoch, a strong signal here, people. When you're watching this is a strong signal, because
Mhm.
we don't stay from the garden to the end. We actually are outside of the beginning and the end. That's who we represent.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
However, as God he's trying to mature us into that reality, even from the seventh from Enoch. And for crying out
Yeah.
loud, man, it's just
Yeah.
like, come
Yeah.
on, if you can't read the numbers and can't read it, we have a special course for you. But anyway, if you go into like number seven,
Yes.
by faith, which is opened up that reality of the glory realm, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next thing you know, he's clear outside of time into,
Exactly.
into
Exactly.
a reality that he discovered in this walk with God, because he walked with God and then he was no more. And,
Yes.
and I don't think, I think one of the signals to me, Dr. Rennie, that when we become moving in this dimension, because people need to have not just somebody telling them about it from the word, but actually
Mhm.
manifesting it as the
Yes.
word. This is
Yes.
what Jesus expected. He expected us to bear the fruit of who he is in greater measure with even what he did. But this
Yes.
this faith thing is, and this now of God, is a big deal. It's a
Mhm. Oh,
big deal. And I
yes.
think a lot of people, I think we touched on it last week, where the faith movement skewed it. It's
They
like,
they totally skewed it. They really, really did. I mean, thank God for the light that they had, but they didn't continue in the light of that truth.
there you go.
They really didn't, because you cannot be, because faith is the platform of the miraculous. It's the platform of miracles.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so every let me just say this to you, Dr. Beck, because it's gonna sound, I love to say this because on our not yet on our YouTube, not now, but later on, we're going to be doing a momentum of faith. And one of the things that I'm going to touch on very strongly, I'm going to say because I want your partners to hear this. When you look in Hebrews 11, faith is associated with miracles.
Yes, it is. Yep.
You can have faith and be walking in faith and not
Have
have miracles.
Woo, you're saying some stuff.
Yeah.
Because faith calls the now, it demands a response now.
Yes. 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 Because it fills in it. There you go. Because it fills in the potholes of time.
Wow, that's woo, there's some stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like phew. Boy, there's some stuff here. Because see what you're saying here is that that realm of suspension of time
Yes.
is oh, how can I say it? There's no past, present, or future in the glory realm. It's all now. I think we've been
Right.
hitting that. Well, I'm just going to hit that again. The glory realm, there is no, oh, that happened yesterday. Oh, it's going to happen. Oh, maybe it'll happen now. It's not that way.
At all. At
And see,
all.
and if you don't, and so I'm beginning to see, let me just process it as an Old Testament believer, a
Mm-hmm.
follower of God. See,
Sure.
they didn't even have a new nature to work with to
At,
expand.
at
None.
all. At all. At all.
However, yet in God's presentation of himself, he continues to show himself in the miraculous, whether
Yes.
it's whether it's bringing down fire from the skies, whether it's coming water out of a rock, whether fowl are flying in by the multitudes to feed. I mean, whether man is coming out. I mean, it's whether an axe head is floating. I mean, it's whether
Yes.
Jericho's wall. I mean, it's everything is miraculous. It's supernatural. It is the suspension of time for the demonstration of the eternal realm. Now, the question I'm going to ask is people are going to ask this question. I can already hear the question. Tell me how to suspend time. How do you, because in order to work this miraculous thing, you're going to have to know how to suspend that time. What do we do to suspend, get out of that time dimension, get into this eternal realm? What would we do?
Okay. The first thing you do, stop, stand back, and when you stand back, you step into eternity. You see how to speak to time.
Okay, so
You
stand.
cannot speak to something that you're in. You cannot speak to something that you're in. That's why you have to come out of time to speak to time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always exalt people. When we had our Bible school in London, one of the first principles that our school was built on is this. I didn't even teach the word until the people had prayed in the spirit till there was no reason in their head.
There you go. There
you
you go.
Pray in the spirit to bypass reason. Because when you don't bypass reason, the reason becomes the accusation that the enemy uses against your now to accuse God.
Absolutely. And really, and if I can say it this way too, to me, you just said it is the accusation that arrests the potential for the now of God and puts a delay into your vernacular towards a critical, if I can say, accusation against God because he didn't do it. I have to believe that most people's pain in life is the disappointment of God not arriving at a place when they expected him to.
100%.
And a lot of the times I believe they didn't know how to access what we're actually talking about.
No question.
They could show you a chapter, they could show you a verse, but as far as being fathered by somebody that actually knows the reality and can manifest that, those are few and far between people.
Yes.
I don't think in the days ahead it's going to be few and far. I think there is a remnant right now that's coming together under what you've been carrying for years. I mean, there's a few of us that are kind of in the, like we talk about, like it's not like this is fresh and new, people. I mean, this book came out a little while ago, people. This book came out a little while ago. So it's not like, oh, this is brand new revelation. It's a reality of what you've been carrying for decades, and
Decades.
you're trying to get the people to understand, because the lack of knowledge is, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. It's just you believe but you don't know. Ooh, those
Exactly.
those are two different things right there. You believe that but you don't
Yeah.
know that.
You don't know it. You don't know it. Exactly.
And so when knowing isn't known and
Yes.
believing is left for a test,
Yes.
ooh, that's a tough thing to navigate. And it's a hard time to get into knowing when you're behind the 8 ball of time.
Amen.
When time's got you, it's got you. It's arrested you. Like you said, it incarcerates you into the
Yes.
reality of what the curse has done, and it's going to work its magic on you. You've already clothed yourself with the circumstance rather than clothing yourself with the glory of who God is.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I think there's just there's so much stuff that's in this. I mean, it's kind of like, it's like we have the privilege. I mean, even Joshua, he himself said, okay, we're going to halt here for a minute here. Let's hold the earth where it's supposed to be to keep this light on. Because that's a demonstration right there.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I also, if a person is scientific, you'll really like this. You should really like this. Let me give you an example of why I say you should really like this. To what we know of, the sun doesn't move.
Right.
Now, thousands and thousands of years ago, could it have been moving? We don't know. I have no problem in believing it probably did, because he said to the sun, stand still. Mm-hmm. So I have no reason to believe that once upon a time, the sun probably did move. We don't know that. All those things are to debate.
Right.
But either way, either way you look at it, the power of this is this. If it wasn't the sun, even though he spoke to the sun, and the sun stood still, was it the sun or was it the whole earth? Either way,
yeah, exactly.
One man's word changed the universe of time for a moment. What you mean to say every continent has been affected by that spoken word?
Wow.
And that's why June 20th is the longest day in the month in a year, simply because that was the time when Joshua said to the sun, stand still.
Wow.
I mean, it's just
what you just said there, because there's a lot of power. One man's word affected different continents on this earth
at the same time, simultaneously.
Okay, so you know what that tells me? That when we call into the fullness of the glory of God, it is not in a position of just where you are. It's going to affect different continents of the world.
Amen.
There's something about what you just said there that just shot through the atmosphere. I could feel, I just went whoosh, just like it went around the world. That word just went around the world. Amen. And it's almost like it causes an attention. The unseen realm comes to attention. Somebody just uttered something that goes back to the Ancient of Days, even to Joshua, when he held the moment to win a battle.
Exactly.
And so see how powerful when a word is uttered from the eternal realm to win a battle that's in time, the whole world will stand at attention for the victory of who you already are.
100%.
Not becoming what you already are.
Yes.
And we need to understand that value, because it's global. It's global glory, right?
Global glory, our original name. Exactly.
I'm just going, come on, people. How much more defining simplistically can it be defined? Because when something happens in a company of people that understand the eternal realm of God, it'll go around the world and supersede the things that are time that have people incarcerated to the value of a circumstance. It automatically breaks the chains. It just goes. I think we're into some spectacular things in the days ahead, Dr. Renny.
Yes. Yes.
Because this COVID debacle mess was global.
Yes, 100%.
It's global, people. That means it's trying to arrest you to be captivated by a circumstance, so your eyes stay on the circumstance rather than the global effect of one man's word from the eternal realm.
Oh my God. That's it.
Game over, people. It's it's just kind of like my mind's just spinning. You're just going, okay, let's just really figure this out. I mean, do we understand the potential of the unseen, unannounced part of you that you haven't seen quite yet, but it takes this moment as of right now to unlock your eyes to see? Because is
Yes.
not the born again experience to give you eyes to see the kingdom? Is it not
Yes.
that whole concept of seeing? It's not, I don't think it's so much of bringing a reality out of heaven into us more than it is to
Mhm.
unlock the heaven that's already in us.
In us. Exactly. Exactly.
Otherwise, you're trying to die to go to heaven to finally get your answers, versus you already have the answer inside of you and discovering what's already inside of you to the glory of who he is. This is something that we have to understand, because God actually is a territorial God. He is a territorial spirit. He actually believes he owns the whole world. He really believes
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
really believes that. He's not going to go, oh, we're going to stay in Texas. Oh, we're just going to stay in Oregon. No, he doesn't. He
Yeah.
plays bigger than that.
Yes.
He only needs one person to agree to the value of who he is. It'll actually affect the whole world. I mean,
Oh,
that's just so profound right
exactly.
there.
I mean, that right there, Dr. Barry says everything. We could park on that. Now you know why it says, and the knowledge of the glory shall do what? Cover the earth.
It's like you can't say anything else beyond that. It's just like you
You
need to let
can.
that, you just need to settle in that. Just
Yes.
settle in that. Listen, I can't,
Amen.
I just can't, I cannot express enough the value. And I think there's synergy. I think it's a good
Yes.
word.
Yes.
There is a
Yes.
synergy that is spinning in the atmosphere for a collective
Mhm.
manifestation for those that want to see the reality of the impact of the glory of God to move across the whole earth. It's not like there's not a lot of praying that's not going on, but I believe the prayers that are going on is for the glory of the earth to cover the earth. That's what I believe is happening on,
Amen.
because
Wonderful.
when you click through this, it's powerful. Anyway, that being said, I just say Portland, Oregon, October 20, 21, 22. And I plan to release everything out this next week so we can get everybody signed up. You need to come to this reality, because what we are doing, I actually feel like we're paving an event for a global impact.
Oh,
That's what I
100,
feel.
100%. I
It's just,
totally believe that. No question at all. I believe it. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I just see it. Anyway, I think there's been enough substance released in this
Oh,
time
very much so. Very much.
that
Oh,
it's let's just roll, people. You just need to settle, go meditate, step out of it, go pray in the spirit, go worship God. And like you said, Dr. Renny, you need to step out of the circumstance, get a perspective of God's eyes, because I always say it this way: tired eyes never see fresh vision.
amen. That's true. That's true.
So
Very true.
what you're saying is we got to see. Anyway, Dr. Renny,
Amen.
thank you. I so appreciate this revelatory moment. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so powerful. It is so powerful. I get it. I get it. I get it. And so I
Amen.
hope, blessing to everybody that's been watching this. And again, October 20, 21, 22. And we're going to release some information. Hopefully we'll have it all set up for this week and get everybody coming to Portland, Oregon with Dr. Renny and Marina. And we'll see what kind of things God's got on his agenda to release around the world. I think it's be extremely
Amen.
powerful. All right.
Amen.
We'll see you
Bless.
guys all later.
Amen.
Blessings.